I never thought I'd be telling this story, but here I am, finally letting the truth out. Some stories are too heavy to keep buried forever, and this one has haunted me for years. It's not easy to talk about, and even now, part of me wants to hold it all in. But if sharing this helps even one person feel less alone, it's worth it. So here goes. This is the truth about what happened to me when I was just a teenager. A time when I should have felt safe, protected, especially by my mom. But instead, everything fell apart the moment he entered our lives. Growing up, my mom was my world. She worked hard to keep us afloat after my dad left. We didn't have much, but we had each other, or at least, I thought we did. She was strong, smart, and always told me to trust my gut. If something feels off, she'd say, it probably is. I held on to those words, until the day I needed her most and she didn't believe me. When my mom met him, everything changed. At first, he seemed nice, too nice. He brought flowers, helped around the house, even joked with me like he was trying to be a second dad. I wanted to like him for her sake. She hadn't smiled like that in years. But deep down, I felt something I couldn't explain. It wasn't just discomfort, it was a warning. A quiet alarm that kept getting louder every time he looked at me a little too long, or stood a little too close. I tried to ignore it, convinced myself I was just overreacting. After all, my mom finally seemed happy. I didn't want to ruin that. But things got worse. He started showing up when she wasn't home, asking me weird questions, acting like we were friends. I told my mom more than once that I didn't feel okay around him. I begged her to see it. But she'd just sigh and tell me I was being dramatic. He's just trying to bond, she'd say. You need to give him a chance. But I knew something was wrong. And then, one night, everything changed. That was the night I realized just how far things had gone. It was the moment the line was crossed, so far crossed, there was no going back. I remember standing there, frozen, hearing the door creak shut behind me and wishing I had listened to my own instincts sooner. Wishing my mom had. I won't lie, telling this story scares me. But I'm not sharing it for sympathy. I'm sharing it because people need to know that sometimes, the people who are supposed to protect us, don't. And sometimes, the person we trust the most is the last one who believes us. What happened next changed everything, not just for me, but for my mom too. The truth couldn't stay hidden forever. And when it finally came out, it tore our world apart. But that night, that one moment? That was just the beginning. After that night, everything felt different. The house didn't feel like home anymore. The walls, the floors, even the air, it all felt heavier, like it was holding on to secrets I couldn't say out loud. I tried to pretend things were normal. I still went to school, came home, ate dinner with them. But inside, I was slowly shutting down. My mom didn't notice. Or maybe she did and just didn't want to face it. She was too busy being in love, caught up in the version of him she wanted to believe in. The version that brought her roses and whispered sweet things in her ear when he thought no one was listening. But I was always listening. Always watching. The more time passed, the more careful he became, like he knew how to stay just out of line but close enough to remind me that he had control. I stopped feeling safe in my own room. I started locking the door, double-checking windows, even sleeping with music on just so I wouldn't hear every little sound. I knew what was happening wasn't okay, but I didn't know what to do. Every time I thought about telling someone, really telling someone, I froze. Who would believe me? My own mother didn't. I kept thinking back to when it all started, how it was so subtle in the beginning. Little compliments that felt too personal. Jokes that crossed the line but were easy to laugh off. A hand on my shoulder that lingered longer than it should have. It's strange how something can feel wrong even when no one around you seems to see it. I felt trapped between fear and confusion, wondering if I was making it all up in my head, or if this was really happening. At school, I became quieter. I stopped hanging out with friends. My grades slipped. Teachers asked if everything was okay at home, and I just smiled and nodded, too scared to say anything. I didn't want to blow up my whole world with one sentence. I didn't want to break my mom's heart. But inside, mine was already breaking. There was one night I'll never forget. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and I heard my mom laughing in the kitchen with him. That sound used to make me happy. Now it made me sick. I remember thinking, she doesn't know who he really is. She doesn't see what he's doing. And that's when I realized, if I didn't do something, no one else would. But even then, I had no idea how bad things were really going to get. The hardest part wasn't just what he was doing, it was the way my mom changed. The more I pulled away, the more she clung to him. It was like she couldn't see past the fantasy she had built. She started defending him more, even when I wasn't saying anything. If I seemed annoyed or distant, she'd snap, saying I was being rude or disrespectful. Once, when I came home late from school just to avoid him, she scolded me in front of him. And the way he smiled while she did, it sent chills down my spine. He knew he was winning. And I was losing her. I began keeping a journal, just to make sense of what I was feeling. I'd write everything down, times, dates, things he said, the way he'd hover near my bedroom door for no reason. It wasn't just about protecting myself. It was about proving, even to me, that this was real. That I wasn't just imagining the unease growing in every corner of my life. But writing didn't make the fear go away. If anything, it made it sharper. One day at school, my best friend Sarah noticed something was wrong. I hadn't told her much, I was scared of what might happen if word got out, but she pushed me to open up. So I gave her small pieces, like puzzle parts one was too afraid to put together. She listened without judgment, but even then, I could see the worry in her eyes. She told me to talk to someone, any adult who might believe me. But who? My mom already made it clear where her loyalty was. That night, I came home to find him sitting on the couch, flipping through my journal. My stomach dropped. I hadn't even realized I left it out. He didn't say a word, just handed it to me with this cold look, like a warning. Like he was letting me know I'd gone too far. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But all I could do was take the book and walk away, heart pounding in my ears. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about what he might do next, or worse, what she might do if he told her. Would she finally believe me? Or would she turn on me completely? And that was the moment I realized, I wasn't just afraid of him anymore. I was starting to be afraid of her too. After that night, I stopped feeling like a daughter in my own home. Every moment felt like I was walking on glass, afraid that one wrong move would make everything shatter. I kept my journal hidden, deep under my mattress this time, and I barely spoke at dinner. My mom started asking why I was being so cold, why I wouldn't even look at him. I wanted so badly to scream the truth in her face. But I didn't. I couldn't. There was this unspoken rule in the house now: pretend, stay quiet, survive. The days blurred together. I counted the hours until I could go to school, the minutes until I was away from them both. But even school didn't feel safe anymore. I was constantly checking my phone, scared of what I might come home to. Sarah kept asking me to go to the counselor with her, but I kept saying, not yet. I think a part of me still held on to hope that my mom would wake up and finally see what was really happening right in front of her. Then one afternoon, everything changed. I came home from school and the house was too quiet. My mom's car was in the driveway, but the living room was empty. I walked in slowly, every nerve in my body on edge. As I passed the hallway, I heard voices, low, angry ones. I stopped, heart racing. It was my mom and him. They were arguing behind a closed door, and for the first time, she sounded upset. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught pieces. My name. The word boundaries. Her voice shaking with confusion. His with anger. I didn't know what had happened or how she found out anything, but something had shifted. I took a step closer, my pulse thudding in my ears, when suddenly the door swung open. He stood there, staring at me, eyes dark with something I can't even describe. My mom stood behind him, looking pale, confused, and scared. He stepped out without saying a word, brushing past me like I was invisible. She didn't say anything either, just stared at me, like she was seeing me for the first time in months. My throat tightened. I wanted her to say something, to ask me if what she feared was true. But she didn't. Instead, she whispered, "Go to your room," and shut the door behind her. That was the moment I knew something big was coming. The lies, the silence, it was all about to break. I just didn't know how loud the crash would be. I sat in my room, staring at the closed door like it might open and give me answers. But it didn't. The silence stretched on for what felt like hours. I couldn't tell if my mom believed something, or if she was still trying to deny everything. I replayed the moment over and over, the way he looked at me, the way she looked at him. Something had changed between them. But I didn't know what it meant for me. That night, she didn't come to my room. No explanation. No questions. Just distance. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. Breakfast on the table. Her voice calm. Him gone. She said he had gone to stay with a friend for a few days. I didn't ask who. I didn't need to. But something about how she moved felt off. Her smile was tight, like it was glued to her face. Her eyes were red. She was trying to hold something together, but I wasn't sure if it was for me or for herself. A few days passed. I started to breathe again. I thought maybe, just maybe, it was over. But then came the twist I never saw coming. I was walking home from school when a car pulled up beside me. It wasn't a car I recognized, but the window rolled down and I froze. It was a woman. Mid-30s, dark hair, tired eyes. She looked at me like she already knew who I was. "You don't know me," she said, "but I think we need to talk." I hesitated, my instincts flaring up again. I didn't say anything, just stared. She sighed and held up her phone. On the screen was a picture of him. The same man who'd been living in my house for almost a year. "He's my husband," she said quietly. Or, he was. Until he left us. My legs went numb. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. My mouth opened, but no words came out. "I've been trying to find out where he went," she continued. "I tracked his phone. That's how I found you. I saw your address. I didn't know there was a child involved." Child. That word made my stomach twist. I wasn't his child. I was his victim. She handed me a card. "If you ever want to talk," she said, her voice soft now, "please call me." Then she drove off. I stood there on the sidewalk, gripping that card like it was the only solid thing left in my world. He had lied to all of us. To her, to my mom, to me. This wasn't just about the twisted things he did behind closed doors. This was bigger. A double life. Two families. Two stories running side by side, both crashing into each other now. When I got home, I didn't say anything to my mom. I just went straight to my room and sat on the edge of my bed. My heart was pounding. The truth was catching up fast, and it wasn't just mine anymore. And deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of the fallout. I didn't sleep that night. I kept staring at the card she gave me, her name written neatly below her number. My mind was racing, trying to fit all the broken pieces together. The lies, the secrets, the silence, it all made a twisted kind of sense now. He hadn't just fooled us, he had built his entire life on pretending. Two homes. Two families. Two stories running on borrowed time. And now, both were starting to collapse. The next morning, I finally did something I never thought I would. I handed my mom the card. She looked at it, confused at first, then froze when she saw the name. "Who is this?" she asked, her voice thin and shaky. "She's his wife," I said. "His real one." She stared at me, her lips parting slightly, like she couldn't catch her breath. "That's not possible." "She came to me," I said. "She showed me pictures." "He lied to you." "He lied to her." "He lied to me." For a moment, she didn't say anything. Then she sat down, right there at the kitchen table, like her legs couldn't hold her up anymore. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I didn't know any of this." "I tried to tell you," I said quietly. "Not everything. But I told you something was wrong. And you didn't believe me." Tears welled in her eyes. I wanted to believe he was good. That I finally found someone who loved us. Her voice cracked. I was so blind. That afternoon, she called him. I stood in the hallway, listening through the door. She asked him straight out. No soft tone, no hesitation. And he didn't deny it. I heard him say her name, his other wife. Heard him say, "It's complicated," like that could possibly explain any of this. She hung up. That was it. No screaming, no arguing. Just silence. A few days later, she told me she had spoken to the other woman. They cried together on the phone. Two strangers, connected by the same lie. We filed a report. She gave them the journals I had kept. For the first time, she believed me. She stood next to me. And I finally felt safe again. But just when I thought it was over, the final twist came. A letter arrived in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single photo of me, standing outside my school, just days before the truth unraveled. On the back, it said, "You don't know the full story." There was no signature. No name. We took it to the police. They opened a deeper investigation. Turns out, this man wasn't just living a double life, he had done this before. Different cities. Different names. Other families. Other lies. So yes, the truth came out. The man who hurt us is gone. But somewhere out there, he might still be watching. And that's the part that keeps me up at night. The weeks that followed were slow, but they brought healing. My mom and I started talking again, really talking. Not just about what happened, but about everything we had ignored for so long. She apologized, over and over, not just for not believing me, but for letting someone into our lives without truly knowing who he was. For choosing love over my safety. And as hard as it was, I forgave her. Because deep down, I knew she was hurting too. She wasn't just fooled, she was used. Just like me. The woman who had reached out, his real wife, kept in touch. We ended up meeting in person one afternoon, at a small coffee shop. She brought her daughter, who was just a few years younger than me. We sat together for hours, talking about how we had both lived under the same lies, never knowing each other existed. It was strange, comforting, and painful all at once. But somehow, it made the weight easier to carry. We weren't alone anymore. The police case was still open, but we learned that he had vanished, left town, disconnected everything. They had a few leads, but nothing concrete. And while that scared me, I also realized I couldn't let him have control over my mind forever. I had already lost enough. Slowly, I started taking my life back. I went back to school, focused on my friends again, and even joined a support group where I met others who had gone through things like this. It helped to talk. It helped to feel heard. The letter, the one with my photo, still sits in a sealed envelope in our drawer. A reminder that not every ending is neat. Some wounds leave a scar. But scars mean you've healed. Looking back, this story wasn't just about betrayal or infidelity. It was about trust. About being brave enough to speak when your voice shakes. About how the people who are supposed to protect you don't always get it right, but sometimes, they do come back and try to fix the damage. It was about strength. My mom's, mine, and even that woman who showed up out of nowhere and opened a door we all needed to walk through. So yes, my mom was supposed to protect me. And in the end, she did. Maybe not right away. But when it mattered most, she stood with me. And that's what I'll hold on to. 16.